Office 365 training. Office 365 training. Office 365 training. A lot of jobs require you to have this type of experience. And for the past 3 videos, we have been doing so. We've been learning about Office 365 so we can get these type of jobs. Today, it's not going to be any different. We're going to keep learning, but this time we're going to focus on Azure Active Directory. We're going to learn that as well, so that way we can further increase our knowledge about Office 365. All right, let's get into it. Welcome to fourth video of Office 365 training for jobs. So if you're looking to get a job and job requires you to have Office 365, this is a really good place to be. We're creating another video for Azure Active Directory part of Office 365. Just real quick, a couple of days ago I created a poll asking people whether they're still interested in me making these type of videos, and clearly you can see that there are plenty of people who are interested. This is why I'm going to continue making these videos. The reason I created this poll is because first two videos seem to do great. People gave me really good feedback. That way I knew that people were, in the sense, attending, sort of like in class, that people were present. But in my last video, didn't seem like people were actively engaging at all. And that means that I didn't see any comments saying that people want me to keep making these videos. This is why I created a poll and asked people whether they actually wanted me to keep making more. And 150 votes, and it seems that 89% want me to keep making them. So this is another video or continuation thanks to your feedback. So let's do something different if you don't mind. If this is going to be sort of like a class training, in that same sense, please do me a favor and in the comments just say present, sort of like as if you were in a class. Let's say you go to school and you arrive and the teacher's like, hey, is John here? Is Kumar here? Is Sally here? And then all these people would say present or hi or raise their hand or something like that. So please, if you can do that in the comments just to let me know that you're here and still participating, so that way I can keep making more videos. All right, so here we are at Microsoft 365 Admin Center. The topics from previous videos, which you really should watch because everything ties into this one, is that we talked about active users, we talked about groups, we talked about Exchange administration, and we talked about SharePoint. And today we're going to concentrate on Azure Active Directory. We did touch on compliance and security a little bit, and that's fine. Today we're going to talk about Azure Active Directory. The reason is the way, in my mind, everything is tying in together in that order. Teams will probably be the next video given that there's enough interest, but for now we're going to talk about Azure Active Directory. So if we click on Azure Active Directory, well, what is it? Azure Active Directory, it personally reminds me of Windows Server Active Directory in a sense where you can look at users, groups, assign different roles, administrator, control devices, all kinds of different things, but even more so at some kind of a new age level, if you will, because Azure Portal is just way better than just Windows Server Administration, in my opinion, and actually easier to learn. So we're going to certainly cover that. So if we click here on Azure Active Directory, here are a bunch of things that come up. And one of the first things that we're going to cover is users. And again, you see how everything ties in from the previous videos that we made. And so this is how, in my mind, everything makes sense. We talked about a few specific users, but mostly concentrated on Sally Moe. She is our manager for the financial department. So again, I don't mean to sound repetitive here, but if you don't know what's going on here, watch the previous videos. I will certainly link them in the top right corner where you can see the playlist. All right. So here's our Sally Moe, and we know from previous videos that she's our manager and she controls some aspects of her department or her administration, if you will, or administration of her department or her sector within the company, right? If that makes sense to you. And the department that she works is financial department. So she controls some aspect of it because she's a manager. So if we select her like this, we can see that we can change a bunch of different things. And compared to Microsoft 365 uh, admin panel, which is, very basic, and it's great in my opinion if you want to make quick changes. But here in Azure Active Directory, you can see there's a lot more that we can change in a more technical level. So this is also very important to learn this, and we're certainly tying in from this because we already learned all of this, and now we're going to learn more advanced version of that. So let's backtrack just real quick here. So Azure Active Directory, click here, right? And we're going to learn things that you will be doing when you get hired as Office 365. So we're going to touch on those things, and later on we can expand on advanced stuff. But for now, we need to just get you a basic experience so that way you can use Office 365, not necessarily set up everything, administer everything. We just need to give you knowledge, basic knowledge, if you will, in a sense where you know how to use it, right? When we click on this, it gives us, different options. We're going to concentrate on those. So users, groups, we're going to concentrate on roles and maybe devices and licensing. Maybe we'll see. We'll see. We're just going to go down the line and see what makes sense. So again, we click on users, and then we got Sally Mo. We're going to click on her, and then we're going to make some changes. So what is the first thing that you see here? On top, we can see edit. We're going to click on edit, and what does that do? What does that do for us? Well, it lets us edit everything from her picture. Matter of fact, let's change her picture real quick. So I don't know, I'm just gonna pick a random thing. Oh, that's cute, whatever. I think I used that in my previous video. Doesn't matter. Anyways, you get the idea. We can change her picture. Anyways, if she wants to change it, she can, but there's a limit to 100 KB, which is a tiny, tiny icon picture, whatever. It doesn't matter. We're not going to save it anyways. So we clicked on edit, and then the next thing we can do, aside from changing her picture, which is kind of silly, but you never know when Sally might be like, hey, I really need to change my picture. I don't know how to. We can do it for her if she really wants to. It doesn't matter. And then we can see user sign-ins. If we click on this, it'll give us the statistics when she logged in at any point and from where and to what especially. And here it is. She logged in what looks to be today on the 25th is when I'm recording this, and you can see that that's her IP address, and there is another IP address here. So notice something here. This one comes up as different IP address. Why is that? And she logged into just Microsoft Office. So this is something to kind of keep an eye on if you suspect some kind of weird activity. You can see that she has a login from the same IP address, and you could also see whenever she failed to log in as well. And then suddenly there is this one here. But what is that? And then the reason most likely is that she's using multiple devices, and I'll just tell you that off the bat instead of trying to beat around the bush or anything like that. And you can see it shows actually different location here. It says Chicago, Illinois instead of town and country. So most likely she logged in from a different device, and we'll definitely talk about that because you can have multiple devices, up to 50 devices that you can log into with Microsoft Office account. Okay, and and that's pretty much that. It gives you kind of overview of what she has been doing. Here's her name, and she comes up in and this is how she shows up in Microsoft as Sally Mo. This is her display name, not like her what is in here. This is her actual first name and her actual last name. This is just what displays on the website, as or in part of any other groups or whatever that she's a member of. And here is her user principal name, which is just her, login ID or, if you will, her email address as well. And type that she is a member, or we can, change her to guest if she's a guest, but we know she's a member because she's a manager. We're going to leave it at that. Here's our object ID. This is an encrypted version of our object ID. This is not something you would want to display on, like public things like I'm showing right now, but I don't care because I'm not worried about somebody trying to hack into this because it's, this is just for teaching purposes. And then issuer,
and that is cosmicnovel at a dot on Microsoft.com, meaning this is the domain or the owner, if you will. But in this case, it's talking about a domain. Who is the issuer? And it's this domain. Because every time you create Microsoft, or when you sign up or create new version of Office 365 for the company, it asks you for your domain, and you just type in the name, what the domain name is, or you can assign it. You can have your own. I can literally have cosmicnova.com if I really wanted to, but this time I just typed in the name of my company and they assigned me their own domain that's on Microsoft.com. Literally says on Microsoft.com, right? And says managed B2B collaboration. I'm not going to talk about this. Is not something you necessarily need to know. I mean, we can click on this and you can see that this is not something that we can make changes to, but it deals with managing collaboration status, meaning business to business collaborations. And for this is something you would have to set up. This is something advanced. So don't worry about that for now. And then under job info, this is just basic. We gave her a title of manager, and I put down when we created this as an EDU, as an education department. But we now know that she works in finance. Right? We have confirmed this. The reason I had EDU is because basically all these videos that I'm making is everything is off the top of my head. There is no script, guys. It's just me sharing my knowledge, literally out of my mind. And then we can see who her manager is. And she doesn't have that set up. Well, we're going to change that. We're just going to click on that and we're going to make Irvin her manager. We're going to make the change like that. And then her company name, if she's a visitor, we can put this in. And then we can put her employee ID if she has one. So we're going to make her employee number 0002. Let's make her that. And then we can block sign-ins, meaning if we want to block her account from being signed into, we can simply select that, yes or no. We're going to leave it at no because we don't want to block her. We're still working on this. Usage location. This is basically to tell us where the person is from, just in case there are firewalls in place. This is my suspect. This is what I suspect to be the case. Otherwise, this is just semantic, as in like, where is this person from? But I have a feeling this has something to do with firewalls, where if person is logging in from, I don't know, Uruguay, we want to know this, so that way when we look at those logs, we can see that. Remember the first thing we looked at, we can see that IP address is coming from Uruguay. So this is why this is something you might want to change, or make sure that person is, I don't know, she might be traveling. Let's say she's traveling to Uruguay. You may want to change this just so you can have it so she doesn't get blocked, right? So she doesn't get blocked. Simple as that. And we can type in her address just to kind of fill it in. And this is, as Office 365, this might be your job whenever you get hired. So we're going to type in, we're going to say 8590. I don't know, we're going to call it Ferry Lane. Sure, why not? State, province, we're going to call it New York, and we're going to call it country USA. And then her office, if she has office, I suppose whatever the company wants, whether it's office number or, I don't know, maybe some other address. I'm not sure. It's whatever the company wants you to do. This is just basically information. So we're going to say she's in building A, office 3006, right? And then we're going to say she's in New York. What's a New York zip code? I don't know. I'm not even going to, whatever. I'm just going to say this. I don't know what New York zip codes are. I don't live in New York. And then if she has a mobile phone number, we want to put this in. If it's a company given, or if she wants to share it, we don't know. And then we have her main email here, and then we want to ask her if she wants to add alternative email, and we can change it if she has the old ones, remove it, and this and that. And here's the proxy address, which this is just for the email, SMTP, which is simple mail transfer protocol, and that's That's what that is, right? We're going to look at assignment roles. So when we clicked on Sally, first thing we had was profile, and then we got assignment roles. Now we see that she's a team administrator. So if we go back here, we can see that she's teams administrator, meaning for the company, teams administrator. If we click on manage role, she's got teams administration. So she has full access to Teams and Skype Admin Center, manage Microsoft 365 groups and service requests, and monitors service help. So she's got full-blown Teams administrator privilege, which is reflected in here. Let's see here. We're going to go back just to show you again. Repetition is the key, guys. So users, and then Sally Mo, and then assigned roles, and then you can see that she's a Teams administrator. She can manage the Microsoft Teams service. And that's fine. We can give her another role and remove this one if we really wanted to. Matter of fact, let's select that. We're going to select the remove. You know, she doesn't need to have full access, but since this is a new company that we created, she was helping, you know, but that's okay. We're going to, you know, have somebody else do it because she's too busy. So we're going to give her a different assignment, which, by the way, is click add assignments. When you have assigned role selected, click add assignments. And what do we want to make her? We're going to make her, you know, because it's a finance department, we're going to make her billing administrator so she can deal with that, right? So that way she can deal with that. We don't necessarily want to give her anything else. But again, it doesn't matter because when it comes down to it, it's all about the company, what the company wants that you're working for. What does the company want? You just follow those rules. I've added the role, but it's still not refreshing, which is fine. It may take a bit, so that's fine. It doesn't matter. Let me see. How long does it? There it is. Billing administrator. Okay. All right. Administrative units. Assigned to administrative unit. So if it's a unit, means a group of people, administrators, then we can assign her to that. We don't have to worry about that. Groups. So again, she's actually part of multiple groups. And the reason there's two of them here is because whenever I was making that distro that we talked about before, she had to be added in there too. And remember, we had issues actually creating distros in our previous videos for the Exchange. So we went ahead and created a finance group, which is actual Microsoft 365 group, which includes not just group email, but all of those things that come with Teams, meaning that, you know, they can have their own internal website, they can make their own changes, they can do things together. And what was it called again? I forget. SharePoint. That's what it is. SharePoint. I said Teams. I know that's different. SharePoint, which is basically an internal website in which everybody that's in part of this group, they can collaborate together and work on it, and just a place to organize teams, which is different from Teams. It's different from Teams, guys, okay? Distro here, this is just the email list, right? This is the email list we talked about in our Exchange video. So again, here she is. She's part of these groups. We clicked on groups, and she's part of these groups. If we click on groups, we can see even more in Azure Active Directory. So now it took us, you know, from Sally Mo directly into this finance group. So now we're managing not just Sally, but everybody that's in this group. And membership type, we can see that she's just assigned. This is just all informative. Everything you see, this is just information. We can't make changes in here. This is just the informative type of thing, you know. So she's part of this, and she is they're one owner of this, and she's the owner. And here are group links. If we click on group links, like for example their SharePoint, we can go to their SharePoint, Outlook, or Teams. And well, matter of fact, let's test it. If we click on Outlook, it's going to take us to their inbox for their Teams group. So here it is. Finance group is ready. This is their inbox. Everything that they use together, everybody that's part of that group can control any of this and send email on behalf. Here's their SharePoint. Here's their website for the group. You know, remember we created this site pages, work sessions, plans for tomorrow. Remember we created this when we talked about SharePoint. And Teams, we haven't talked about that yet, but we certainly can in the next video. You just gotta let me know. All right. So next thing here under groups is applications. any applications that she is working on. So, if she's working on something, all of this stuff will be listed here. And in this case, we don't have that, and that's fine. But whenever you're working for somebody, you'll see all the things that she's working on or inherited from somebody else, and this and that. So think of it like projects, but they're applications, right? So this is what's going to show up in here. Licenses, which is the next thing. We can see what kind of licenses she has. And the first thing is Microsoft Power Automate free. What this is basically, I think this is free for everybody who is part of Microsoft, I think. But basically what it does, it helps you get organized and automate certain tasks within your organization or for yourself. So that's what that's about. And then the next license we have and is Office 365. So she's got access to Office 365. And interesting here, well, first of all, it says here active, right? So if it's active, that means it's working. It's kind of self-explanatory, something to keep in mind. Let's say she says, I no longer have access to Office 365. Well, you can see the state here. It says active. Well, you could say, well, yeah, it's working. Or it could say not active or whatever. And then we have enabled services. And that basically how many parts of the Office 365 she has access to, meaning additional license. Well, let's click what that looks like. So we click on this, and we can see the things that she has access to, right? And these are all things, basically. These are all part of the license. So she has all the access to all of this stuff as long as she's set up to have access to these things, right? So they're all here, and we can turn it on or off. They're on by default, looks like. And, if we want to disable something for her, if we no longer want her to manage Teams, we can simply just select off. We're like, sorry, Sally, we can't let you manage Teams, but we're going to leave it on. That's fine. Matter of fact, yeah, we're going to disable it, guys. We're going to disable it because we removed her. She's no longer admin. We're just going to do that. Anyways, it doesn't matter. It's whatever. I mean, it matters, of course. If she can't do some of these things, you might want to enable, disable, or whatever. But this is just the part where you manage the license. So if your organization tells you, or her manager tells you, you need to disable Microsoft Teams for Sally, you better do that. Simple as that. So in that sense, it doesn't matter what's on and off. It's whatever the company wants. Simple as that, guys. All right. Let's go back and see what else we can talk about. Devices. Clicking on devices, and it says no devices found. I think this actually takes a while to refresh. I've actually added a device for her. I've added a device for her, which is my cell phone, basically. I use my cell phone to create a device for her. And I downloaded, you can actually download Office 365 to your Android or iOS, I believe. And then you can, of course, have Windows and Mac. I'm pretty sure Mac as well, devices as added in here. One great feature about this is that you can manage BitLocker keys. So if it's a Windows operating system, you can access their BitLocker keys and stuff like that. So, okay, let me just show you what I did here. So we're under devices, and then all I did was click on view all devices, and then from here you can access their BitLocker keys. And this is in a preview state here. So this is something new, I suspect, which is kind of cool actually, that you can get BitLocker keys like this. So if BitLocker keys usually are an issue whenever a Windows machine is I don't want to say corrupted necessarily, but crashes. And usually due to crashes, you may get a prompt that's asking you for a BitLocker key. This is usually related to some kind of hardware issue. You lose power, for example, and then the device itself assumes that you took that hard drive and put it into something else, right? Into a different device, which this might be the case too. And when you take a hard drive from a Microsoft operating or from a computer that has Microsoft OS on it and you put it into a different computer, you won't be able to access it unless you have BitLocker keys. So this is kind of cool. I haven't gotten the chance to use this because I don't have a big organization to test this with, Now, just real quick, we can obviously reset password. This is the main thing. If we click reset password, we can simply just, reset her passwords. And we click on resetting passwords, and then we're going to give her a temporary one. Uh, this is one way of doing this. She gets a temporary. You don't get a choice to type it in. But if you go to Microsoft Admin 365 Center and select on Sally here, you can certainly reset password, and in a different way where you can automatically create a password. You can require the user to change the password when they first sign in, or email the sign info to me. I mean, to Sally, basically. So for that, Microsoft Admin Center is better in my opinion. So I would reset password as in here rather than in here, because this doesn't give you an option. What happens is that you give them this password. I mean, it's your personal preference, of course. You give them this password, and they can sign in, and it's going to force them to change it. So that's what's going to happen. You copy it, you send it to them, give it to them, tell it to them, and it's just going to force them to change it anyways. So that's what's going to happen with this here. Of course, we can revoke her sessions, and what that means, if she's logged in at multiple places, if we find that she's logged in at multiple like multiple IP addresses, and it looks very sketchy, fishy, or there's some kind of issue with login, we can revoke all the sessions for the user. This is good to do if she has an issue with the password being locked out. If she keeps getting locked out, chances are that she's logged into multiple devices, and these devices have a wrong password or something like that. Weirder things have happened. And if you click this, it's going to basically kick her out of all of those sessions that she's connected with. So any device, anything she's logged in, she's going to get kicked out, basically. And you can just say yes, and boom, she's kicked out. Of course, we can delete her right here, or we can refresh. This is just a refresh, nothing else. All right, guys. I think I'm going to wrap it up for today. I will make more time for more videos of Office 365. Next thing is Teams, I believe. And then we can certainly concentrate on any of these things that are available. Monitoring. Oh man, there's so much. But you got to let me know that you've watched and that you're interested. Again, if we do it in the sense where this is a class type of environment, if you wanted to call a class, I'm not a teacher or anything, in my opinion. I'm not licensed or anything like that. But if you want to do me a favor and just say, present, I'm here, I watched your video, that's all. You can just raise your hand or whatever. I'm not asking too much, I don't believe, because that's the favor I'm asking from you as somebody who's doing you a favor, basically. So, my videos are free, as you know, and for those reasons, I expect same type of engagement that I dedicate to these type of videos from people that watch me. So I don't think that's too much to ask. All I'm asking is just for you to say present in the comments, and that's it. All right, guys, you have a wonderful day, and don't forget to check out other videos. Tell your friends about it, and if you click a like, I'd really appreciate that too. Take care. Bye bye.